Quiet eyes. My eyes are generally quite quiet. What does quiet eyes mean?
Quiet eye is a really interesting topic, and there's a lot of literature about it. So quiet eye was defined by Vickers in 2007 as the final fixation or tracking gaze on a task-specific location prior to the initiation of the final phase of the movement, which is exactly what you were going to say, isn't it?
Yep.
Quiet eye technique is all about learning to keep your eyes still. And that sounds like a really easy and simple thing to do, but people are notoriously bad at doing this. So what we need to think about is information flow. So when you're approaching any visual task, and obviously what we're doing today is shooting, how do you process the information as to where that target is coming from and where it's going and how you intercept it? So if we think about information flow, the first thing is to see the target, and we know that. Everybody says you've got to see the target. And this, I think, is where the trope about just stare harder at the clay kind of has a little bit of relevance, but not as much relevance as people think. Okay. But having a really fine control over what your eyes are doing is dead important. So if we think, as we said, about information flow, it starts with your eyesight. So reflected light is going to come off that clay, it's going to hit your retina, and your retina is going to send that information into your brain via optic nerve. Now, in your occipital lobe, specifically regions 1 through 8, those parts of the brain...
It's a bit deep now.
It's going to get deeper. I've never said that before. Specifically, those regions 1 through 8 help to process shape, position, colour, motion, and that helps us to understand the complexity of the task.
Okay.
Then you've got your attention network activation in your brain, which are 2. There's a dorsal and a ventral one. We'll call them Dan and Van to simplify things. So your Dan helps us to focus on fine detail, and it helps to filter out distractions. And this is really important for fine control of the quiet eye. There's a positive feedback loop here, because if you get a better, more efficient Dan, it makes your quiet eye technique better, and if you get better technique at quiet eye, it makes your Dan more efficient.
You can, hold on, but you can, just going to skip ahead, you can train these things?
Yes.
Okay, good.
You absolutely can.
ADHD, clearly like some connection issues
in
your brain.
It's very much a trainable thing. And simultaneously, when that DAN's being activated, your VAN, which is your ventral attention network, is also being activated, and that is what was happening to you when you were missing some of the targets on that pair. And this is when Ed was talking about your brain looks busy. You're thinking about things, you're processing information. He could tell just by looking at you and the way in which you were addressing the target and the time that you were spent into the gun that you were starting to process and you were starting to think. And this is your VAN. The VAN governs the emotion and the memory component.
So we don't want VAN in clay shooting.
We want the good bits of VAN, but we want to try and make sure that we can filter out the possibly disruptive aspects. Because once you've got that under control, you've then got the frontal part of your brain, which helps you to instigate the motor movement. And it's your cerebellum and your basal ganglia in your brain that helps to refine that accuracy of the movement. So we've got all of this data processing, which basically means, are you going to kill that target or not? Are you getting good quality data? Are you able to compartmentalize the aspects which are going to promote positive performance, get rid of distractors, and make a really nice, smooth move? There's times when, both have had this, we'll have missed a target and Ed will say that's a really good move. So the outcome wasn't great because it's a miss, but the move was good. So the pre-shot routine was good. The quality of the move to get to the target was good, but we still missed it. But him, from an expert coaching perspective, can actually see that we've put a good move in place. And we know that when I was watching you, I could actually almost tell when you were going to miss, because I could tell your quiet eye was being disrupted. And part of it was when you were calling for a pull, there was a secondary move. You were actually moving the gun slightly back towards the trap whilst the clay was coming out, and then you were making a two-part move to it.
Just overcomplicating.
Overcomplicating it and potentially overthinking. So this is where Ed's observations from just experience and watching you, I can then potentially hypothesise that that's what's going on, because you've got this disruption of your Dan and your VAN.
So the last 2 pairs I shot after Ed told me just to calm down, stop overthinking.
Yep.
I did.
Yeah.
Got in, thought about everything before mounting the gun.
Yep.
Mounted the gun, kill point, wind back, nice quick, pull, bang.
Yeah.
Shut off a lot of that thinking and definitely felt like less of a visual process for me.
Yep.
I saw the target, of course, and I saw my gun, of course, but didn't really take too much information from that other than, that's the move, bang.
Yeah.
Whereas before, I think I clearly was trying to connect a lot of stuff together, certainly with the gun on my shoulder, and then in the move, everything felt like I was trying to make too much of it. And that, I guess, is anti-quiet eye. That's noisy eye.
Very much so. And we think, when we're shooting sporting targets, we think, where do we see the target first? Where do we see it clearly? Where do we want to kill it? Where are we going to position ourselves in the stand? Where's our hold point going to be? Where are we going to put our eyes? And what technique are we going to use? But we want all of that processing and all of that thought to happen before we go into the hoop. And that's again what Ed was saying, that you're doing some of your thinking whilst you've got the gun in the shoulder. And that's not a process that we want. We want that to be compartmentalised. And we know that sometimes we shoot better when we're almost in this subconscious flow state.
Yes.
And things just seem to flow together without us trying to force it or think too much. And again, this is that Dan and Van association of what's going on in that information flow, which starts as getting good quality light from the target, going through all the different stages in your brain then helping you to refine that move to make it smooth and accurate.
So there is essentially a lot of pre-planning before you get in there.
Yep.
And we've established in the past there is some shots that are more instinctive than others,
Mm-hmm.
but I guess that quiet eye really comes into play with the more instinctive moves.
Absolutely. It really, really does. And as you said, it is a trainable thing. So by people starting to think and learn a little bit about their own visual behaviour, they can help to refine that behaviour. And there's been tons and tons of studies, and if anybody's interested in this sort of thing, please just drop me an email, put a comment in the below, and I can send you some of that info if you want to have a little read about it, because it's too long and too involved to talk about on a video. But there's statistically significant improvements based on 2 control groups of shooters, one who've done quiet eye training and one who hasn't, which show an improvement in that shot execution after doing the quiet eye training.
The process being to let your mind and eyes focus on the task at hand rather than taking in too much unnecessary information.
Yes. And what we tend to find is that elite performers have a better extended quiet eye technique, but the vast majority of them don't even know they're doing it. So it's almost an innate learned skill through repetition. But now we know that it can be coached. Those people can add an extra target to their game by improving something that they didn't know even existed in the first place. I did
Very important in stuff like trap, I guess.
Yeah, hugely important. I did a little video on this about a year ago, and I know about the quiet eye technique and using some eye tracking glasses. I was with my friend Adam, who shot OT for Great Britain. He'd never heard about quiet eye at all. We had a little look at our gaze behaviour. Mine was terrible. So my eyes were dancing around all over the place, over the top of the trap. Adam's were absolutely laser locked in. Totally still, perfect smooth fixation from the target, a really good tracking gaze towards it, and everything was dead locked in. And mine, even though I knew what I was supposed to do because I hadn't practiced it, I had this suboptimal result. So there's definitely a correlation between quiet eye technique and capacity to shoot well.
All right, now do me a big favour.
Yep.
Can you sum up quiet eye in like 2 sentences?
Yeah, keep your eyes still.
That's it.
Done.
Okay.
And
But that's something that people, even though you said you were trying to do...
Yep. It's hard. It's really, really difficult. And when I do a sports vision analysis with somebody in the practice, using some of the pieces of equipment we can see, in a static environment, they can have really good visual performance. Can they see to a high level of acuity? Yes. Can they keep their eyes absolutely still and focused on a specific position and process that peripheral information accurately? No, they can't.
Okay.
An example...
This is where soft focus, hard focus kind of discussions come into play, right?
Very much so. And just making sure that somebody's eyes don't dance around in the middle of that pre-shot routine, making sure that the eyes are steady on the visual hold point and make a really nice smooth move from that hold point to the target. And it sounds super simplistic, but it's something that people don't do. But it's something that can be improved and optimised through some quiet eye training.
Thank you. That is actually really interesting.
You're very welcome.
Well, let's see if we can enact some of this quiet eye.
Yeah.
Quiet eye. They could have come up with a better name for it, couldn't they? Quiet eye. Thank you for watching TGS Outdoors. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, like it, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and share it with your friends. This channel would not exist without the support of our amazing sponsors. They really do keep this content coming week after week. Thank you also to our channel members. You guys are amazing. If you want to know more about channel membership, there's a join button down there. Click it, you get some free extra content, you get early releases, occasionally we get together and shoot some clays. Take care guys, we'll catch you soon.